By this point, the house on the hillside already has its frame, its roof, and a clear shape. But to become a true dwelling, it is still missing what matters most: privacy, order, and the feeling that life can begin within it. This stage is no longer about raising a house from the ground. It is about turning that structure into a home. Large wooden boards begin to appear across the structure. From here, the rhythm of the video changes completely from the earlier parts. It is no longer about posts, beams, and roof thatch. Now it becomes a stage of surfaces, of the details a human hand will one day touch every day. And those are the things that truly decide whether a house can be lived in. She measures cuts and adjusts each board with great certainty. This kind of work may not feel grand, but it creates something more lasting: precision. A the house may be raised by strength, but it only becomes truly respectable when its details begin to fit together exactly as they should. The floor slowly becomes tighter, more even, and steadier beneath each step. That matters more than its appearance. A dwelling only truly begins when the floor stops being a temporary surface to stand on and becomes a place where a person can sit, work, and rest without thinking about the instability below. When the first wall sections are attached, the structure changes very clearly. From an open space beneath a roof, it begins to gain privacy. This is the moment when the house stops protecting only from sun and rain and begins to protect the life inside it. Walls do something a frame never can. They give a person a true interior to belong to. Board after board is placed beside the next, and the exterior of the house becomes denser, cleaner, and more complete. What is beautiful about this video is not spectacle, but the way the house grows through very specific changes. Each board closes a gap, blocks a little more wind, and keeps a little more life inside. The front of the house is refined as well. The lines become cleaner, the outer edges more defined, and the opening at the front begins to gain its own order. That is when the house stops being seen only as a refuge from weather. It begins to have a face, and that face gives the structure its own character. The railings and floor edges are finished more carefully, making the house feel not only stronger, but noticeably more orderly. In elevated structures, safety does not live only in posts and beams. It also lives in the body's sense of being held within a clear boundary. Railings do that in a quiet way, but in an essential one. Seen from a distance, the house now feels completely different from the earlier parts. The leaf roof still holds its rustic character, but beneath it are wooden surfaces that feel brighter, cleaner, and more refined. Quiet begins to appear once the structure no longer demands major changes. At this point, the house can finally receive the smallest rhythms of life. A person sitting down, a moment of rest, a roof enough to remain beneath a little longer. That is the most beautiful part of this episode. The house is not only more complete, it has become warmer. In the end, what she creates in this part is more than better walls and a more finished floor. It is the transformation that allows the Hillside house to truly begin carrying a soul of its own. From a roofed frame, it becomes a dwelling that feels enclosed, orderly, and dignified enough for life to begin inside it. Between open slope and mountain wind, this is more than construction. It is the finishing of a dream through very small hands that are anything but ordinary. On the open hillside, the structure no longer looks like a process in progress. It now appears as a real home,